And welcome back to the Livingston Parish News Podcast. My name is McHugh David. It's been about 90 days since we've seen you guys. Today, we are going to tell the story of two gentlemen who have a franchise. It is located in the Baton Rouge area, but the geography doesn't mean a whole lot. It's the lessons that they're teaching. So, today we're welcoming two guys from Code Ninjas. Guys, introduce yourself.
My name is David Brin. I'm the Center Director for the Code Ninjas here in Baton Rouge. I've been with the company since July, and our mission right now is to just bring coding to the community, and I'm working with this gentleman next to me to do that.
Hi, my name is Marcel. I'm a lifelong entrepreneur, and I thought Code Ninjas was a great idea to teach our kids a very useful skill for the future, along with some other byproducts of that of problem solving, logic, math, some really neat things that we're showing the kids. And I'm very excited to have Code Ninjas in the Baton Rouge area.
So, that's one of the things that we wanted to talk about today is, this idea of this is a franchise, correct? And as you said, you're the entrepreneur. So it sounds to me like talking to you guys before, we've got sort of the 32,000 foot guy and we've got the day-to-day guy. So first, I'm gonna ask y'all to kind of try to answer together.
Okay.
From a 32,000 foot perspective, you said it seemed like a great idea. Back us up to when you first heard about it, and what were you thinking when you heard about it?
Sure. So, like all great ideas, it originated with a Facebook ad. I was scrolling through Facebook, and this ad pops up that says, "Bring a Code Ninjas franchise to your area." So I checked out the website. I was like, man, that's a really neat idea. And I completely forgot about it. I saved it to the list of things that I save and never go look at again. And it just kind of disappeared from my thought. It wasn't until a few years later, I also own an IT and web design company. And we got the contract to redesign the East Baton Rouge Parish School System website. In order to get that budget approved, I had to go sit through a bunch of school board meetings. And the budget stuff is always at the end.
Sure.
So all these schools are coming up and giving updates on what they had been up to. And every single one of them talked about STEM, robotics, and coding. And then the light bulb went off in my head. I said, I have to go find this Code Ninjas thing that I saved a few years back. So I went and found it, and we flew out to Texas, where they're located at the franchise headquarters, and really fell in love with the idea of bringing it to our community.
So how'd y'all hook up?
The hooking up of David coming on board is interesting, right? I'm a big believer that everything happens for a reason.
Okay.
So one of the main things that we were not expecting was a global pandemic to hit during the middle of our build out.
Oh God.
Yeah. So we met with the franchise in October of 2018, took the entire year of 2019 building out the space. And then the front part of 2020, we were in the home stretch of opening. I remember on Friday, March 13th, we got franchise approval at 10 a.m. to open our doors.
Wow.
And then the governor comes on at noon and says, okay, we're closing things down. And we know how all that went. But what I did was during the shutdown period, I really wanted to connect with the people that had shown interest in Code Ninjas. And that's where David had reached out, submitted a request more information on our website form. And that's how we started talking. Do you remember that phone call?
Yeah, so I have an 8-year-old daughter. At the time, she was 7, and we had just moved up to the area, so we were looking for camp solutions for our daughter, and she had gone to kid camp and some other stuff during the previous year. And with all of that not really being an option in 2020, we were looking for something a little smaller scale, a little more hands-on, a little safer. And I had reached out to Ben about Code Ninjas as an option because I, again, had seen it on his Facebook ad, and I was like, coding is something that's really important to me for my personal development. And I reached out and I said, hey, I'm looking for some information. He and I got to talking when he reached back out for the lead generation. And we got to talking about my background because I used my freelance email address, and I do web content on the side. I do a little bit of marketing for a company up in Chicago. And I have 20 years of operations experience in food and beverage. So the more we got to talking, we realized there was a synergy there between both mission and kind of what they were looking for on the operations end, and it just matched up.
So if you could define that mission, 3 sentences, what is it?
I think our mission is to expose kids to an emerging technology really give them the opportunity to find out whether or not it's a good fit for them. And that's one of the main goals that we have, is to give Minecraft camps, Roblox, the things that the kids are doing at their houses currently on the computer. If they're playing these video games, or if they're watching YouTube videos of people playing video games, which I still don't completely understand.
Me neither.
But those guys make a lot of money.
They do.
We really want to give them quality screen time and show them that there's a future and a potential career for them after they get out of school.
Sure. And so, you wanted to bring that vision that you had, kind of come to through a variety of experiences, maybe a specific set that may have been fate, might not go that far, but then you found somebody perfect to help you with the day to day. So when y'all had decided, I guess you can say, that y'all were going to come together and use this synergy to make the place work, you're in the middle of COVID. So how did you decide on how to operate on a day to day? How did you decide what you were going to offer?
Yeah. So that's where we were thankful that we were part of a franchise. And there's 250 locations open currently, with another 200 planning to be open worldwide. It's a very fast growing franchise, and they have done a great job setting up everything we need to know about operating safely. And thankfully, we were able to open our doors, and we actually waited a month before David came on. We ran 4 weeks of summer camps with just the business partners kind of taking shifts, making it happen. We hired some people we call them sensei, so we'll reference that throughout the show, to help these kids go through the camp curriculum. And we were successful. I think most of the kids were ready to get out the house at that point. Most of the parents were ready for them to get out the house at that point too. So thankfully, we had a lot of great processes in place, and we were able to operate safely at about 25% capacity.
Okay.
So we can normally hold about 40, 50 kids in there. We opened at 25% capacity and capped out the camps at 12.
Okay.
And that was a blessing in disguise too, as a new business opening.
Sure.
Thankfully, it wasn't 50 kids, because I don't know if I would have survived that first month without you, David.
So I ran one of the camps that summer with drones. And if I had had 50 kids with drones in the dojo, that would have been just absolute chaos.
I can imagine.
We did it with 12, and it was fun. I mean, the kids learn a lot of different technologies. It's not just about the coding. So
sure. And, from an entrepreneurial view, COVID kind of provided you with a test run.
Yeah.
It started you off a little slower, but that also gave you a chance to test things out, see what worked, what didn't, in a more controlled environment, I suppose is the best way to put it. So let's talk about day to day in terms of what percentage are you at right now with COVID? Where are y'all?
As far as with respect to our original sales goals.
Sure.
Yeah, we're not quite there, but again, it's okay. And I think we are starting to get the right mix of kids coming through the doors.
Sure.
When we did pre-sales, it was all sight unseen.
Right.
And some parents were so excited. I think they were more excited than the kids. We had some that were not as engaged as the parents thought they were going to be.
Sure.
So we're focusing on getting those quality ninjas, as we call them, into our dojo.
I got you.
And to the point where, I had a tour the other day that turned into an active subscription. And the parent, I asked them, how did you hear about it? And they said, my kid found it. My kid was on a YouTube channel, and she was doing something else, and she saw Code Ninjas, and she said, Dad, I have to go. And so, those are the kinds of things that, to me, the brand brings that value to the kids, and they get more invested into it.
Sure, because I've got, my kids aren't young anymore, but I have 3 stepchildren, all boys, and my 13-year-old saw you guys, and I mean his mom and I are discussing if it works with his baseball schedule, getting him in to see you guys for one of the summer camps this summer.
Yeah.
Now I know that's something y'all want to discuss today. We're going to reference it a little more in depth later in the show, but I do want to ask you guys on sort of a day-to-day level, what are the things that you offer?
Sure.
In going through your website, there's things like dropping the kids off and just saying, we've got a quick hit to talk about Minecraft or Roblox, like you said. Describe that a little bit.
Sure.
And any other programs that y'all have right now going on.
Right. So the core of the program is our Create program, and that's our subscription-based after school program. It's a drop off program from 3:30 to 7 in the afternoons, Monday through Friday, 10 to 2 on Saturdays, and that's for kids ranging from 7 to 15 who are interested in coding. What we like to talk about during the tours is not only are they interested in games, we want them to be interested in creating content and creating different kinds of things in games. So being interested in Minecraft, being interested in Roblox, looking at the YouTube videos on how to play those games better, or the shortcuts. Those are the kinds of things that, as they delve into the material, they're going to be interested in. It's all about puzzle solving and thinking around corners and thinking outside the box to solve problems.
Well, and that is, currently sort of the way it works these days is it used to be you went to school, you went to the library, and they told you how to do the Dewey Decimal System, or once they put it on computer, how to go find a book. Now, there's probably a YouTube video on brain surgery.
Yeah.
So for y'all, you're teaching these kids, and maybe we'll take a step back from your programs and talk a little bit more about the singular value for kids. Y'all are teaching them, hey, in today's world, this is how you do research.
Yeah.
You go to Google, you go to YouTube, you look things up. Tell us a little bit about, individual kids. Like you said, you were looking for that right kid, the kid that was going to buy in. What's it like to see that kid buy in?
We'd like to talk about digital literacy. We like to talk about how we aren't necessarily teaching kids only how to code. That's part of it. That's the core of our program. But we also are teaching them things on how to navigate a computer, how to use a workstation, how to use a keyboard and a mouse, where 90% of our kids that walk in the door, they use tablets.
Sure.
So we're teaching them lifelong skills in a technological setting that they're going to be able to use that they may not be getting elsewhere in school. Sure. So the perfect kid really is somebody who's interested and curious and wants to learn about these things and doesn't have any barriers in terms of where they want to go.
I got you. And, back to that original or the last question, what's it like to see one of those kids really get into it? How does that make you feel as a director and as somebody who's moving the curriculum along?
It's pretty awesome. I had one of the parents come in the other day, and she was so happy. She was like, I just wanted to thank you guys. And I was like, what's going on? And her son, Finn, had gone to school, and he's in second grade. And the school had put a challenge forward to all the second graders in code.org. And he was the only second grader in the school to finish the challenges.
Oh, wow.
And came back in. It was like, thank you. And we've been working with these kids, for a couple months now. And just to be able to see their minds figure it out, to make that turn. Because a lot of them, they start with the visual aspects in the coding in the lower levels of the program. And then about 2-3 months in, they're actually typing out code. And to see a 7-year-old and an 8-year-old and a 9-year-old actually typing out JavaScript commands to control what's going on the screen. Most of the parents that walk in the door aren't even really aware what their kids are doing with the games, never mind how to program.
Sure. So you're giving them a lot of that background information that gives those, especially those inquisitive kids, an extra step to those games that they play all the time.
Yeah,
so,
we're also hitting some interesting segments of children too. The youth pastor at my daughter's church has a son. He's about 12 or 13, and so he's pretty severely autistic, but he loves to play Minecraft.
Sure.
And he came in, he did a tour. The first question we usually ask is, what video games do you like to play? We love those open-ended questions to try to get a really good answer out of them and to get them excited. He started talking about all the stuff that he did in Minecraft, and he was so excited and energetic. And this was just a few minutes before he got to go and build his own video game in our 30-minute game building session that we use for our tours.
Cool.
His dad pulled me aside and said, I have never seen him talk to anybody like that about anything. Yeah. And it was just so fulfilling to see that there are different types of kids. I was in the gifted program my entire life. I thought I wanted to be a computer science major and code and everything. And I quickly found out that it wasn't for me, thankfully.
It's a lot of math.
Yeah, thankfully. But it gave me a great foundation for the entrepreneur side and the sales component of what I want to do. But he ended up coming to the Minecraft camp, and he gave so much positive feedback, the dad, on how engaged his son was, that he was interacting with other kids, that he was interacting with parents and people in leadership roles when they've struggled with that in different environments.
So you really, because for years it's always been there were sports camps and sports after school programs that basically shoved kids outside,
Mhm.
and that kind of thing. And so, as you just said, you're kind of hitting an interesting stratum of children because these are usually children who were kind of walking around using their imagination and maybe not a whole lot else.
Yeah.
So what's kind of interesting about that is that it opens up a new avenue. You've already talked about after school programs. Uh, and I want to touch on that 30-minute intro in just a second, but what else do y'all offer?
So the Create program is really the core of it. We offer the camps during the summers as well as holidays as well, and those are more structured, targeted experiences.
Okay.
So we'll do a 9 to 12 for this summer coming up. We're doing sessions from 9 to 12 and 12:30 to 3:30, and that gives them enough time to interact with the material without getting overwhelmed, without getting to the point where we've done everything and we shut down for the day. So it's really kind of focusing on that engagement level for that time period
On a specific topic.
on a specific
too.
topic. So they're doing things like going into Minecraft and creating a mod. They're going into Roblox and creating an obstacle course for their friends.
Okay.
We're using one program. It's a 3D modeling program where we go in and we allow them to create different things and then pull it into their Minecraft account to be able to manipulate it there in a three-dimensional space.
That's actually the early version of AutoCAD called Tinkercad.
Okay.
So it's given them, exposure to engineering type
Sure.
softwares that we use as adults.
Well, yeah, I have a light company here as well, and we
Yeah.
use AutoCAD. I mean, that's really impressive. So, you talked about the 30-minute sort of hands-on game demo. Instead of just talking about that singularly, walk us through what it would be like if there is an interested parent either listening or watching this when they walk in with their kid.
Sure.
What's that going to be like? What's that introduction going to be like?
Sure. So, we start with the child first. We always really introduce ourselves to the kids because the experience is about them. So we start talking about what games they like to play and how they engage, and it gives us a chance to figure out where their interest levels are and where that lies. Part of our tour is based on the fact that the child then goes off with our staff and our senseis, and they do the 30-minute game tour by themselves. And that
Okay.
really gives them the chance to have that independence and understand that this program is about being self-motivated and having the confidence to do these things on their own. The parents have to stay outside in kind of the hallway area. It's windowed off so they can watch, but they don't get to interact. And that way the kids are working on their own.
Right.
And the parents can see as this sort of develops over the course of the tour that their kids are doing something that they've never done before.
Right.
And they kind of, oh wow, they're building a game, and then the kids bring the game out afterwards and they show them how to play it, and it's that moment of bridging. I didn't know what I was doing before I walked in the door, and now I do, and I have the skill. I want to keep doing that.
Right, and y'all said that, for instance, for Minecraft, these kids can take what they've created and put it back on their account. So a lot of times, what they do at the camp or after school, they can bring home and see at home.
Yeah, the program has what we call the parents dojo.
Okay.
And the parents can log into that with the kids at home and see the games that the kids are working on and modifying and creating over time. They can't do the curriculum from the house. Everything is in dojo itself in terms of the actual curriculum, but they can see what's going on and give feedback and ask questions and see how things are going. If their kids are staying on task, and it really helps the parents become involved.
Walk us through real quick, because we've used the dojo, the sensei, the
Sure.
ninjas. Walk us through the hierarchy real quick, or have we covered it?
We've covered most of it. So the program itself is built around the concept of karate. One of the things that they talk about as we train with the franchise and as we sort of get indoctrinated with how we do things. They built it around the idea of karate because there's that sense of discipline as well as the sense of accomplishment. Everything's broken down by belts. You have challenges. You have different tests that you have to do before you move to the next level. So in the dojo or workspace for the kids, they have to work through each challenge on a belt level. So they start out with white belt, then they go to yellow, orange, etc., as they work through the curriculum over the course of a couple of years.
So it very much like you said, in cahoots with karate and going through that sort of those levels. So not only I'm trying to build a picture here for parents of not only are you pushing these kids through a program, pushing, maybe not the word guiding,
Guiding.
but the parents can also see progress. There is something going on here. This isn't just after school where y'all are, letting them play video games all day.
Right.
There's a lot of pieces to this puzzle. You're trying to open these kids up to really what the 21st century looks like on the internet.
Yeah. And when it comes to deliverables, we have quite a few, at each stage of the belt, they are building video games each time, and the parent can log in, play the game with them. During our free 30-minute game building session, one of the most popular games to build is Brick Breaker. Okay. And if you ever owned a BlackBerry cell phone back in the day, you probably played a lot of Brick Breaker. Mm-hmm. They're building that same game in 30 minutes while we're just talking to the parents about all of our programs that we have to offer. So there's a lot of great deliverables, and that's one thing that drew us to the main Create program and the franchise was the belt system, and that the black belt, if the kid reaches that point, they actually build an app and publish it to the App Store. That is their final deliverable. So when we talk to parents about that, I'm sure in their mind they're thinking, can my child make the next Angry Birds and make millions and millions of dollars? And we try to set those expectations properly as well. But at least we're giving them a set of goals that we're looking for them to accomplish. And we haven't mentioned yet, but the Create program is self-paced. So they're self-guiding themselves through it. And it's great for being able to hit different kids with different types of experiences with coding that they might have had some in school, or they might have done a small summer camp in the past and building upon those skills, or do we have to start from scratch? The self-paced guided is a lot better approach.
So before we get into the summer camp, I want to ask, because when folks come in here who have opened franchises before, what I always find fascinating, especially in today's world, it used to be if you bought into a franchise, they said, well, here's the packet, good luck. Now you always hear about these training sessions that are fascinating. Tell us a little bit about what it's like going through the training from Code Ninjas corporate, I guess you can call it.
I think they really want to show the same experience that they want us to have in the dojo itself. We went to one of the last live trainings last November. 3 of the franchise owners went to Texas, and we did the in-person training and had a great experience to learn more about, okay, now that we're about to open the doors, what do we expect? How can we handle the sales component? How do we handle daily operations? How do we handle vendor relationships? So they helped out quite a bit, and they really try to expand on that as much as possible, in addition to always making sure that there's an amazing curriculum that they're always trying to evolve as well. So from a day-to-day perspective,
basically the same experience. When I came on as center director, I was actually one of the first cohorts that did it virtually. So we did the same experience that you guys had in Texas in a virtual setting that sort of took everything down to a level of, okay, here's the basic knowledge that you need. And one of the most powerful pieces I think that came out of that was the sales process and sort of the approach and how to understand the buy-in that we're trying to explain to parents with the brand. Most of my parents, if they've done a little bit of research before they come in the door, if we've spoken ahead of time and kind of given an idea what we're about, as they walk in and they see it in action and they see the results from that 30-minute game building session, it's almost an easy sell. It's one of the easiest things I've ever done. And I've, again, 20 years of operations experience in restaurants. Like, I've done some stuff with sales and seen some things.
Sure.
This is probably one of the easiest brands I've had because it's just so easy to get behind.
Sure.
You can't argue the effectiveness of knowing technology with a child because it's going to be something that's going to be in their lives for the rest of their experience.
The franchise also seeks feedback. We've actually been sought out by some of the franchise executives specifically for the Code Drones camp that we did, and we ran a mini camp for fall break, I believe. And they wanted to get us on a call with the franchise and the manufacturer of the drones that we use to figure out how can they continue to evolve that curriculum specific to the drones so that other franchises can pull off those camps successfully and have some great interactions with those different types of technologies.
So they're really looking to avoid stagnation. Y'all are constantly interfacing and training with them, and they're constantly looking for ways to grow and provide feedback.
So the camp, just to give you an idea about the innovation that we're doing, we have 18 camps coming out this summer that we were able to choose from. And a chunk of those was actually sourced from the franchise owners themselves. They sort of did a little competition with the franchises and said, here, let your senseis create a camp.
Okay.
You're the ones that are on the ground, boots on the ground, working with the material, working with the technology. What's going to work best with the kids in a dojo setting? And they really let us kind of go to town with creating curriculum that works in that setting with the kids at that level, that is easy to teach and
Sure.
doesn't really get beyond, sometimes you deal with trainings and learnings that come out of corporate where it's not quite realistic. It's not quite reachable because they're not boots on the ground. They don't understand what's happening,
Sure.
day to day. So I felt really positive about the brand in that they were able to trust us enough to tell them how we're teaching kids.
Right. And, that the reason I wanted to push that is because, a lot of camps after school, they'll stagnate a little bit, kind of rest on their laurels. It sounds like these guys, y'all are going back and forth with them all the time.
Yeah.
So we've talked about it a lot. We kind of danced around it. Let's talk about probably one of the big reasons y'all came was the summer camps that are coming up. You said you had 18.
We had a choice of 18. We
Okay.
cut out probably 4 just from a logistics and realistic point of view. There was a Lego camp that was going to cost way much more to actually run, and nobody was going to walk away with any deliverables or anything out of that.
Okay.
So what we focused on was experiences that would give the kids a chance to not only experience the technology, but bring the technology home and continue to experiment with it.
Okay.
So one of the, for example, one of the camps that we're doing is a Meow Bit programming, and they get to create a series of arcade games that then they load onto the little Meow Bit device, and they get to bring those games home with them.
Okay. So, where can parents and kids find some information like the list?
Right.
Y'all had 18, y'all dwindled down to 14.
Mm-hmm.
So dwindled might not be the best word, but y'all reduced it down to 14. Where can they find that list?
So codeninjas.com
Okay.
/LA-Baton-Rouge. They kind of make the link a little tough to follow. But if you go to the codeninjas.com website and you look for our location, and then you navigate over to camps, all the camp listings are on one page, and it breaks down not only the camp, but the camp description as well.
Okay.
And one of the things that I thought was awesome about this year's camps is there's 4 different camps that really focus on young entrepreneurial skills. And they are going to be able to, over the course of 4 weeks, build a website, come up with an idea about content for a YouTube channel and how to run and operate a YouTube channel. Stop motion photography is one of them that we're going to be doing. So there's a lot of new, exciting things. There's one camp where they're going to be learning how to make digital music that they can then incorporate into their games.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot of synthesizer.
Yeah.
So ages. What kind of ages are we looking at here?
We have some programs that are designed for 5 to 7 year olds, and that's a lot of our intro level JavaScript and intro level STEM activity camps. Those are designated from 5 to 9 usually, and then we also have camps that are designated from 7 to 15.
Okay, so y'all go up to 15.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then what we really look for again is not only the ability but the experience. Do they want to come in and learn these things? We don't really care if they've ever touched coding before.
Sure.
Everybody kind of approaches it from the same level. If you've never touched coding or if you've had a little bit of coding experience, they all start at the same point with our Create program or with our camps, and by the end of it they all have the same set of skills.
Sure.
And speaking of starting at the same point, I think it's worth mentioning that we like to talk about the camps and which one might be the best fit for a child by still starting that with our 30-minute free tour / game building session. We have a lot of experience being able to talk to the kids about what kind of experience do they have with video games and coding and what are their interests. We're able to gauge all that and then relay the recommendations to the parents on which ones might be a good fit. I remember last year we had this one kid, Tony, that came in and his mom came in. He did a free game building session, registered him for 6 camps.
Oh, wow.
That's how into it he was when he was there doing the free game building session and was really excited about the different programs we were offering.
Now, do y'all, if someone was interested in the summer camp but kind of wanted to dip the kid's toe in, do you still do the 30-minute intro?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, anybody who wants to experience the brand can schedule a 30-minute tour with me.
Okay.
All they have to do is call the dojo, drop me an email through the website. There's a ability to request a tour, request information. Any of those tools will work to get you in front of me to be able to say, hey, this is what my kid's interested in. We'll talk to the child and say, what do you like to do? And kind of bring them through that process so we can explore more what's going on.
Okay. And walk us through. So I want to make sure I got the times correct.
Sure.
It's 9 to noon and then 12:30 to 3:30?
For the summer camps, correct.
Okay.
And some parents register them for both the AM and the PM camp to get a full day experience.
Okay.
And we've made it affordable so that way it is accessible for a full day experience, and they still get both topics without having to worry about drop-offs, pickups, and stuff like that.
So how does that work in terms of the topics? Are they kid-centric? Like each kid might be doing a different topic every day? Or does each camp focus on something specific?
Each camp focuses on something specific.
Okay. And so you kind of get a little bit of a group effort there, too.
Mhm.
Everybody kind of gets to interact. So how much is it?
It's $200 for each session, plus or minus for the materials for the camp. So like the camp that we're doing with the Meow Bit, there's a $40 add-on just so that we're handling getting you guys the equipment without you having to worry about going through Amazon or finding a vendor. We're making sure that you guys are getting the equipment that you need.
Okay. And it's 200 per session, so that's like 9 to noon, 12:30 to 3:30 would
Correct.
be a separate.
So
Okay.
400 for the week, plus or minus the cost of the
Got it.
And
the,
5
the
days.
tech.
Monday
And
through
5 days,
Friday.
Monday through Friday.
Got it. Do y'all have anything on the weekend? Y'all,
We do.
We have the Saturday session from 10 to 2 right now.
For the Create
for the
program.
Create program.
okay.
Now we also have we haven't really talked about it yet, the junior program, and that's
Okay.
something we're trying to build out for the younger kids.
Okay.
5 to 7, 5 to 8. The top end of it is really more dependent on the kids' ability to read and kind of navigate computers. We do have a couple 8-year-olds who aren't quite there yet, so this is a better program for them. And what that does is it walks them through a lot of the fundamentals without having to worry about the typing and having to worry about how to interface with the computer. But they're still learning things like logic and loops and conditional statements and all those things as they create stories and interact with the technology. And that's right now from 9 to 10. I have about 9 kids in that right now, and we're trying to build out a second session from 10 to 11 that'll overlap some with the other group.
So that one is more instructor led.
Yeah.
And we have a really great STEM teacher at a local school that's doing this on the weekend for us. She's great with kids. They're so engaged. They're building games and stories on their tablets, but we're teaching them the conceptual part of coding to where they don't need to know how to read, type out, all those skills that some of the older kids might be a better fit for the Create program.
Sure. So it's a stepping stone.
Yeah.
It's a way to kind of get them started. I got it.
Yeah.
Is there any other programs that y'all might be thinking of, or that y'all might be wanting to introduce? And maybe if there are some parents out there or some kids who are like, "Well, I'd be interested in that," that have y'all gotten any kind of interest like that, or is there anything cooking in the pipeline?
Corporate has a couple things that they kind of put on the back burner from the start of COVID. There was a pro program that was for 16 and up that was more web-based in terms of web design and stuff like that. So that's kind of on hold right now
Sure.
until that comes through and gets finalized. But I think the primary thing is to just let kids come in and explore technology. So we're working with some of the communities and some of the schools in the area to explore the idea of doing like a technology night to where the kids can come in and just kind of explore the space, really get to understand what's out there and what's available. And then we're also doing Parents Night Out 2 Fridays a month, the second and fourth Fridays from 6 to 9. And that's just to give the parents, a couple hours out of the house and the kids, again, to explore a technological sort of fun space. So we have the robotics kits, we have circuitry kits, we have the drones, we have all those kinds of things that are available to them during that time period.
Kind of like an open house.
Yeah.
Got it. And again, trying to get those kids get tech in their hands.
Exposure. We just want to make sure that the kids really understand whether or not they have fun with it. If they do, great, come in and experience the program. If not, at least you know that it's not for them, and you can kind of focus your efforts elsewhere with them.
Right. So y'all are adding an extra layer, as we talked about at the beginning of the show, to sort of that after school and summer type extracurricular activity.
We do have a lot of parents that come in and say, we've tried sports, we've tried activities, they're just not that into it. And they get into the dojo and they find a friend and they start talking about games and they get excited. and the
Or
parents
they
come to
friend
pick them
your
up.
daughter.
Or they friend my daughter is like the Code Ninjas mascot right now. She is there a couple nights a week, and everybody that walks in the door, she's like, "What's your Roblox name?"
Yeah.
So she really gets involved with the social aspect of it and doing the parents' night out and coming in and hanging out with the kids. And she's sat in on a couple of the junior program to help with those kids, hands-on, teaching them how to use the tablets and stuff like that. And I think it's a really powerful thing when you get kids helping kids.
Right.
I watched one of our 13-year-olds the other day. She's orange belt, and she's well above some of where the other kids are at. And one of the kids had a problem while the sensei was helping somebody else, and she's like, "I got it." She went over and she helped them walk through the project that she had already done and showed them how to do it the right way. It was really awesome to see that level of community in the dojo.
Sure. And so, jumping back over to the 32,000 feet, when you see this kind of interest and growth in the community, how does that make you feel about your decision and moving forward with a franchise like this?
Yeah, I think one of the most important things we can do right now is invest in our children's future and showing them the opportunities. And that's why a big priority for us is the community outreach part of what we do, partnering with the Girl Scouts, offering a badge for them that they can get on coding. Going into the schools, hopefully we can do that a little more in the near future, where we can help the STEM educators who have limited resources and knowledge on the area. And it's just to provide more value to the kids on what they're already doing. How can we supplement what they're learning in the classroom, the topics they're being exposed to, and see if that's an interest that they want to explore long term. One of my favorite parts about this is a 4-year degree is not necessarily needed in coding. One of my best friends who's a partner in this franchise location is a self-taught software engineer. He was a machinist down in Homa working graveyard shifts, and he said, "I got to get out of this. I'm going to teach myself how to code." And he did. He got a job in Silicon Valley shortly after, working for Seagate, and now he's programming self-driving cars. So there's jobs out there that our kids will have that don't exist yet.
Sure.
And that's probably one of the most amazing parts about what we're doing.
Well, and getting them involved at such an early level and teaching them how to problem solve and teaching them how to learn new things constantly going forward with regard to tech. That's got to be, especially as you mentioned earlier, when you see those kids who light up and get it, that's got to feel good.
Yeah.
So give us, let's talk about some bare bones stuff here. Where can people find you?
Okay. We are at the corner of Perkins and Segan Lane.
Okay.
Right near the Winn-Dixie. That's right there.
Okay.
We're so new, we don't even know the street number off the top of our head.
8657.
It's right next to Winn-Dixie, and that was strategic because a lot of the parents go shopping for groceries while their kids are doing our program.
Sure.
8657 Segan Lane. I had to remember my signature. And the phone number there is 225-427-0701. I can be reached anytime during the day between 10 and 7 p.m.
Okay.
I'm usually in the dojo. If I can't be reached there, I do keep a business cell phone number, 225-443-6500.
Okay.
And that way there, parents who are looking for solutions or just want information about the program itself, you're more than welcome to reach out any time of the day. I'm always available. I always enjoy talking about this with the parents because it is important, I think, to work at a schedule that the parents are on, because we are so busy and our kids are involved in so many different things, and making sure that we open those doors and we're not closing doors in terms of access just because they can't find the information that they need.
Sure.
Another way to engage with us is on our Facebook page, too.
That was my next question.
Yeah, Code Ninjas Baton Rouge. That's where we're posting a lot of the updates to the different types of camps we're going to be offering, when our Parents' Night Out are, any other events that we might be holding. We're doing a Women in STEM series of events that we've done, I think, for 3 months now.
About 3 months.
Where we're bringing in women that are in STEM fields to show the girls in our dojo, as well as who we come in contact with, what opportunities they might have. And that stemmed from a parent asking about how many girls are in our program. And we were like, not many. And that's where we wanted to bring in web designers, chemists. We have somebody that's going to talk about video games and how it relates to leadership tomorrow. and we live stream it on Facebook. So there's a lot of great ways to engage with us. You can share out our information and tag some friends that might have a kid that's interested in our programs. That's really one of the best ways to engage with us.
So I'm going to ask you two real quick, anything you'd like to add before we wrap it up here?
No, I think it's really important that, the parents really take this opportunity to really explore it with their children, whether it's in Baton Rouge, whether you're down in Prairieville or you're over here in Livingston Parish in Denham Springs. Give it a chance, take the trip down the road, come see us, see what's going on in the dojo. We have flexibility in our program that will work with pretty much anybody's schedule. Whether you're driving down here only on the weekends or what have you, we're really able to accommodate any sort of need. So we're removing the obstacles. We just want to make sure that the parents are given the opportunity.
Ben?
Yeah, that's it. It's mainly the opportunity. These kids are really shining when it comes to technology. Technology is not going to start evolving, and we want to help be a part of the technology engagement with these children.
Well, again, two gentlemen from Code Ninjas. I want to ask you to introduce yourselves or sign off, I guess you could say, one last time. So go ahead, Dave.
David Brin with Code Ninjas in Baton Rouge. I'm the center director, and I look forward to meeting all of you.
Hey, everybody. Ben Marcel. Thanks for tuning in. I'm one of the franchise owners for Code Ninjas Baton Rouge. Very excited about what we're doing in our community.
And again, if you're looking to try to find something for your kid to do outside of the normal, what we get used to during the summer, sports or outdoor camps, there's something different to see if they can generate a little interest. My name is McHugh David, publisher and editor of the news here. We know that Code Ninjas is not in Livingston Parish, but geography holds no bounds, especially in the realm of the internet. So please check out Code Ninjas online, check out their Facebook page, or give them a call, or go see them next to the Winn-Dixie at the corner of Perkins and Segan. We do appreciate you guys joining us. This has been our first one in about 90 days. We are in our new podcast room. We hope you enjoyed the format and the video. If you're listening, we appreciate that as well. Please check out the news on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, and YouTube. We are once a week in print on Thursdays, and we are also online, www.livingstonparishnews.com. We appreciate you purveying our website, and we hope to see you next time.